And also adding to what Mrs. Gaynor said, these are the kinds of things as far as your classes, fundraisers, activities that you will decide once you are in the building. But some of these things that you're talking about, like dancing and exercise, are activities that will have an influence on how the building is designed. And so these are, what I've heard tonight is that you want room for exercise classes, you want walls that could be moved to make smaller areas or larger areas. You want better access to the kitchen, making it more of a flow when you are having your meals or donated or potluck or whatever. You need a good flow in there. And is there anything else? I had a card that said better parking, and I know that we're going to address that. So are there other things about the design of the building that you're interested in bringing forward tonight? Anything about, yes, ma'am.
So the building is number one. I'm looking forward to seeing the building and seeing it designed properly. And then whatever you want to put in, that's up to the people that want to take over the leadership. And I'm sure that's going to be people to follow. And then you get others that might be handicapped, but their brains are still working.
Of course.
And talents and crafts and all sorts of things. So that will come later, but the building is number one. The design is number one.
And so the main idea that was coming, if you weren't able to hear, is that not only should it be handicap accessible, but it should be handicap friendly. In other words, not just meeting the minimum, but making it very friendly so that everything feels comfortable to everyone. Does that? Anyone else?
Connie Newton, thank you all so much. Thank
you, Connie. Thank you.
For so long, we have been under the thumb of a different organization. And so we're about to go crazy. We're so excited of all the things that we do. We've had line dancing, we've had, and the night dancing. I'm all for that. And so I just appreciate it. And we come in like a flood, but just don't ever underestimate the power of the CNAers.
No, it's a wonderful group. Absolutely. Anyone else have something to add about the building design tonight before we shift gears and go into our commission meeting? I don't want to leave anyone out who wants to speak. Yes, ma'am.
You asked for our opinions. This is strictly my opinion and mine only. I appreciate you having this workshop tonight for us to air our grievances or compliment you, whatever. But I'm talking about some of the things that have gone on in the past that I don't agree with.
Okay.
And one of those things is a $400,000 grant for two different $400,000 grants for a splash pad for the children, which I have nothing against children. I think children need a lot of different activities. However, if this were a landlocked community, I can understand that, but it's not. We've got the bay right here in the Lynn Haven area. And so to have two $400,000 grants for splash pads, to me, did not make sense. If you wanted one, fine, but why not a $400,000 grant for the senior citizens?
If I may, ma'am, on the splash pads, there are different funds, and the splash pads, they were total, both of them was that amount, not each, but those were out of a different fund. They were out of community services or the parks impact funds. They had to be spent on parks. They couldn't be spent on anything else. And so they didn't take money from the seniors. It was just that money is designated when it's granted to you for whatever reason. Of course, those are impact fees that are paid in the city. But I don't think there's any reservation about spending a good amount of money on what we're about to do with the Senior Citizen Center using insurance money and FEMA reimbursement for damages done. I think that that's what we're here for, is to make a very positive place. So I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just want to let you know those funds did not come, they couldn't have been used for anything else except those parks.
Well, like the lady said earlier, there's a lot of senior brains here, and I think some of these seniors could have come up with ideas to spend $400,000 in the parks for seniors.
Okay.
not just children. But that's okay. Children socialize during school hours, they socialize during sports, and they socialize at the splash pads. But the seniors have nowhere to socialize right now in Lynn Haven and haven't for 9 months. I miss that. I don't know about the other people, but that's my opinion strictly, that I feel like you're leaving the seniors out when tonight was one time that you've listened to us, and I appreciate that. But I think you need to talk with the seniors again and maybe have some of the seniors in with creating that design and not doing it on your own and then letting us look at it. How about having some seniors in with the design people to design it? That's my opinion.
I think those are all very valid points, ma'am. And as far as us forgetting about you for 9 months, as I said in the beginning, it's been a process. First of all, we were cleaning up really until about January, just trying to get the debris out of the city, 1 million cubic yards of debris. And then we had to go through the processes with FEMA and with insurance, and we're still negotiating with insurance, trying to get what the city deserves. If any of you have been negotiating with insurance just for your homes, you know what that process is. And we're still in the process of that. So it's not a matter of having pushed anyone aside or having forgotten. We're not able to do anything until those processes are complete. And as Mrs. Gaynor said earlier, we're just about there. Tomorrow we're going to be issuing those RFPs to move forward with the buildings. And as far as input from seniors, just because tonight was announced as a workshop for the Senior Citizens Center, you're welcome at every meeting. This meeting, anytime you want to come to a commission meeting, you are always welcome. And if there is a meeting for the design of the building, once we start planning and looking at what that's going to look like, those are open. I mean, if you'd like to come in and listen, or you have ideas, that's what tonight is for. So if you felt excluded in any way, I'd like as mayor to apologize to you that you didn't feel that you could come to a meeting and speak. You're always all welcome at our meetings. And we have 2 a month, one at 4 o'clock, one at 6. So, but thank you for your opinions. We really appreciate those. Anyone else want to comment, or everybody's good?
Mayor, when he's
Oh, yes,
finished.
I think Commissioner Tender had something to say. And
I just want,
one moment, sir. Okay.
I just wanted to say, I'm a huge fan of HGTV. So as a senior citizen and knowing what the old building looked like, I think there should be tons of window with lots of natural lighting, because there's nothing worse than being in a cement building and you can't see out and you don't even have a clue what the weather's like. So that would be my suggestion on design. Lots of windows.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir?
This is a little bit off, but it's what I really like.
If it's about the senior center, go ahead, sir.
Why don't we have a swimming pool that could be used for exercise? It's the best exercise for seniors and people with any kind of handicap, because the water takes away most of the resistancy and gravity. So it's, I think, a shame that the community doesn't have a community pool to begin with, but if this were an opportunity to have a swimming pool put in, it would be a great way for people to exercise.
And as a 501c3, you could certainly start a fundraiser for that and have one right out in the backyard. That would be great. Yes, sir.
Swimming pool's been discussed a long time in Lynn Haven. Back to reality. This discussion is about the senior
Well, I
center.
think a swimming pool could be a reality. I didn't say it couldn't be a reality.
Hey,
Go ahead.
Right along with the pizza parlor. No problem. Back to reality. This is about the senior center and the library, isn't it?
This is about Senior Citizen Center, the service center where you pay water bills, and the garden club tonight. Any of those 3.
One suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, from the P&E plan, okay, the plan. Harry and I know about plans, okay? You have to have a plan from the P&E all the way to the finish. Do you have an idea of what the plan is? And when you get it, could you post it on the website?
City Manager, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, we will. We will make sure that you know every step of the way. And actually, when we start doing these plans, they'll have to be approved by the commission anyway. So you will know about them.
And I would like to encourage each of you over the next 2 months, the fourth meeting, we're going to be continuing this discussion of buildings, the fourth Tuesday of August and the fourth Tuesday of September. So please put those on your calendar and come back. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Bob. I live on Pennsylvania Avenue. I think the location down there at the not the ballpark, but the bridge is good. But you have to understand too, the traffic coming over that bridge is like a racetrack.
Are we speaking of the Garden Club now, Mr. Schultz? Is that what
I'm sorry?
the Garden Club is what we're talking about when you said the
Yes,
bridge?
yes.
Okay, go ahead. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and the traffic coming, southward, and the seniors are trying to get in that little center right there. I know you have tried to get the state to put a light on Fifth Street, and they keep telling you, wait, let's commute down the road, have to wait and do all this, blah, blah, blah. But I'm concerned about us senior citizens, the ones that have to turn in there at the Garden Club, soon to be the senior center, with that traffic barreling, you're looking at an accident ready to happen. Is there any way that you can maybe, or the commission or you, whoever's got the power, can talk to the state road department of maybe putting a cautionary sign on the southern half of the bridge saying slow? I mean, not slow seniors crossing,
I understand
but
what
slow,
you're saying.
something to that effect, because I think you're going to see an accident or two or three or four. And because the location is great for seniors, but getting there and people running over that bridge, you're going to see it.
I totally agree with you, and I've already written a letter since the accident last week that tragically took a teenager's life in our community right there at the foot of the bridge. The speed limit is 35, and we all well know that the traffic doesn't flow. And if anything about government would make you angry, I will tell you the reply that we got from the study about the traffic and the speed off the bridge and why FDOT would not put a traffic signal there at 5th Street or at 4th Street. They needed for us to have a larger quota of accidents, big accidents, before that could happen. So I wrote a rather bitter letter this week over to the Secretary of Transportation for District 3, as well as to our local Highway Patrol office. And so I will let you know if I hear from that and what those results are. I don't know if the rest of the commission wants to address it, but I personally, Mr. Schultz, am tired of, the debris trucks are almost finished now. We are in the, end stages after this storm, and I am tired of Highway 77 being a racetrack through our town. And I speak about it frequently. The LHPD does a great job in monitoring as much as they can, but the Florida Highway Patrol needs to get themselves over here and get it under control. That's what this mayor says. So, anyone else? Thank you. It is a state road. I see my friend Sean over there. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on the Senior Citizens Center, the Garden Club, or the Lynn Haven Service Center tonight before we move into the regularly scheduled commission meeting? Thank you for coming, Harry and Emily and Charlotte and all. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Anyone else? So we thank you all for coming tonight. I didn't miss anyone, right? I hope you'll stay for the commission meeting. And all of you who are listening from home, if you want to continue writing your comments about ideas that you have throughout the meeting, we are listening to those. And I did have a couple of cards from people who didn't want to speak, so I just wanted to read. One card says, "Seniors as mentors to children," and we have a lot to offer. Yes, they do. We as seniors will be giving back, and busy children, of course, their parents would benefit. So I know there's ways that we can work with Lynn Haven Elementary School and Mowat and Mosley and North Bay Haven to get some things going there. This one was not about the senior building. One says that the Senior Citizen Center should be moved to the fuel depot because there's so much room out there. Unfortunately, the city doesn't own that property anymore, and we don't have access to it. A developer has that property, so that's not a possibility. Then one was about creating the parking space, and we've already talked about that. When did they sell it? It's now going into the second year. What happened is the city didn't own it. The Department of Defense, the Air Force owned it, and there was a transaction where we briefly bought it and at the same table then sold it to the developer. The benefit that we are receiving right now, even though they haven't developed, is that developer is now paying taxes on that property to the city, and before the Air Force had it, and of course, we weren't receiving that benefit. So hopefully, within the next 12 months, either this developer will start moving or we'll sell it to another developer who will, so that we can reap even more benefits from the property. So
That would have been a beautiful property
it still can be.
for the city to, and it even could do it there.
Well, the city just didn't have $3 million to buy property and then develop. I mean, and I don't know how to say this but the city's not really in the real estate business. It's our, we're here to serve, the citizens. But I would love for a developer to come in like the one who brought that plan forward that the city can benefit from. And they were going to have public areas and that kind of thing. FSU does have 40 acres of that property that they will be using for research at some point, and that will bring a lot to the city. But we don't own it, and hopefully we'll just see what happens in the future with it. You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, at this time I would like to call to order the meeting of the Lynn Haven City Commission, and we'll start with the agenda. And I have not asked him this, but I'm going to